Hello, everybody! It's another midnight review presented here by Glasshouse Films. I'm your ever lovely and bearded host, Carson. This is my my ever gorgeous and lovely partner and co-host, Sarah. And we're here to talk about one of my most hotly anticipated movies of the year, Kingsman The Golden Circle.
I am very excited for this movie. I really enjoyed the first one. It was super fun. So I'm pretty excited for this movie, and just like the marketing that they've done for it. They've done some really fun things for it.
I like that we're gonna see the American version of the Kingsman, the Statesman.
The Statesman, and just like, I'm just such a fan of the fact that they're all named after like alcoholic drinks, except Halle Berry's character is named like ginger ale.
It's fantastic.
I mean, you've got a really good cast.
So what did you think of the original?
I thought it was fun. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like how they do some of those action sequences and how they're shot, not what I was expecting.
So when I saw the movie the first time, I was like, I liked it. It definitely wasn't what I was expecting, but I liked it. And then the more I watched, the more I liked it. And what caught me off guard the first time is the fact that, okay, it's mostly a training movie. And the last third is him essentially going on his first mission. It's like, okay, that structurally speaking, I'm not the biggest fan, I'm not the biggest fan of training movies. I'd much rather be like, oh, things are happening. That's why I actually prefer Avengers 2 to the first Avengers movie, because it's like, okay, the team's already assembled, let's go.
Yeah.
But the more I watched it, the more I loved it. And there was a time where I was on HBO and I was watching it like once, maybe twice a week while it was on HBO. And I just loved it more and more every time. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Do you have high hopes for this one?
I do. It's still being directed by Matthew Vaughn, and he is one of my favorite directors working right now. And like, nobody gives him the time of day though. It's the weirdest thing. Like, he has amazing movies and everybody seems to forget about him. Like, he did Stardust. He did, in my opinion, the probably second best X-Men film out of all of them, X-Men First Class, only to be beaten by Logan.
The only X-Men movie I've seen besides Logan.
Yeah, he did the first Kick-Ass movie, which kicked ass. Yeah, he's just a fantastic director, and I love always seeing his work. It's always a delight for me to see a new project that he's worked on. So I'm really excited to go see this.
And I'm excited because also Jullianne Moore is going to be in it, and just an amazing actress and beautiful person. Yes. So
yeah,
she's the main reason I want to see this, is because the first one was good, but she's like the top reasons.
All right, let's go see the movie.
Let's do it.
Be back in a minute.
Eggsy, I saw in you what someone once saw in me. Something that can't be taught. The makings of a Kingsman. Being a Kingsman is more than the clothing we wear or the weapons we bear. It's about being willing to sacrifice for the greater good.
Turns out I have yet another John Denver story for you.
I think like 2017 is the year of featuring John Denver songs very heavily in movies. Like,
the John Denver estate has to be incredibly happy with 2017 in general.
Yes, very happy.
So yes.
Who's on
Kingsman? The Golden Circle, aka Kingsman, a massive disappointment for Carson.
Oh.
What did you think?
It was not as good as I thought it was going to be. I definitely think the first one's a better movie, but I had fun with it. Like, there are obviously some things I did not enjoy about the movie, and certain scenes that I felt were very unnecessary. But like, overall, like, I had fun. Like, I don't feel like I wasted my money. And there were like certain things that I really enjoyed. Like, Elton Jon.
Yes.
So funny.
A lot of good Elton Jon.
Yes.
So, okay. The film takes place about a year after the events of the first one. Eggsy, for those of you who've watched the original Kingsman movie, he now has 3 pages up in his office. And I liked that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cute. Mm-hmm. He has 3 pages up in his office, so you know he's been around.
Yeah.
And quickly, the Kingsmen are all but destroyed once again. Mm-hmm. Actually. I don't know if they were all but destroyed in the first one, but it felt like there weren't many of them left.
Yeah, but this is...
And I know they were only looking for one person to fill in, so whatever.
Yeah.
But they're all destroyed, and they got rid of one of their best characters almost off screen.
Yeah, that was really sad.
And I was so disappointed because I was like, oh, that's actually a really awesome platonic relationship these two have, with like nothing else put onto it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I like this. I like the way they play off one another. But
I remember seeing online, a lot of people were like, oh, well, she's in the trailer like once, and that's it, so she must die.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So anyway, then it's up to Eggsy and Merlin to find out who infiltrated them and why, which leads them, and this isn't a spoiler because I think she's introduced before everything goes to shit, but they find out Jullianne Moore is behind it, along with one of the Kingsman applicants who was not killed.
Yeah.
Which is something that I was kind of thinking over before the movie started, but anyway, and so Eggsy and Merlin have to work together with the American counterparts, which are the Statesmen.
Yeah.
And very quickly it is also revealed and explained as to why Harry, Colin Firth's character, is still alive.
Yeah.
And that was shown in the trailer. It was shown in the first trailer. So
yeah.
I very much like like that it was, okay, no, we're blasting past this. Now, I think that's actually a good place to start, because as much as they blasted past it, they also just kind of like sat with it and the effects of what that was for way too long.
Yeah, I feel like with that it was either like, okay, let's figure this out, and just like it just needed, like, they needed to figure it out and move on. Like, they spent a little too much time on that, and kind of on that, like, even throughout the movie.
Yeah, the film itself actually felt way slower. Like, the pacing was totally off for me, and the writing. It's weird. This was written by Matthew Vaughn and Jane Goldsmith. I believe Jane Goldsmith. Written by them like they did in the first one, and yet this one, like, the writing is just not sharp.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as the first one, and I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah, and there were a small handful of throwbacks to the first one, and the way in which they subverted those actually worked. Like, manners maketh the man, and the way they did that, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of a smart way to do what they're looking to do, basically. But the film just felt like it was a slog. Like, it was like, it's like, okay, please, can we get to the climax? Oh, no, we got to go somewhere else first.
Yeah, it did drag. There was like it's kind of like the halfway point it started dragging, because like the beginning of the movie moves pretty fast. Like,
yeah, the opening action scene was actually really good.
Yeah, it moved pretty fast.
And then, okay, I gotta like arrange my thoughts so we can talk about this as succinctly as possible. I think the next thing that caught me off guard and then ended up becoming one of the biggest problems with the film is Eggsy's relationship. I love the character of Eggsy, but I don't give 2 shits about his relationship to the princess.
I mean, that doesn't bother me. Like, I like it.
It's fine. However, their relationship holds the movie back. There is a sequence, we won't go into it, the internet has been calling the vagina scene.
Yeah.
I feel that because of Eggsy's relationship to her, that entire scene served no purpose but to gum up the plot And it's like, I don't care.
And I'll just say really fast, like, if you see the movie, you'll know what scene we're talking about. Did not need to be. It was gross. Like, it didn't need to be shot that way. Like, I was just like it just felt so unnecessary.
The very end of the first Kingsman, where she's like, "Oh, I'll give you my ass if you save the world."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that was kind of cute in its weird, like, perverted way.
Yeah.
But this was not cute, and it wasn't played that way.
And there were, like, certain things that, like, this other female character said that you're like, well, like, that's not necessary. You don't need to say that. It's just kind of gross. No one needs to hear that. Please keep those things to yourself.
And, okay.
That was probably one of my, like, probably the biggest thing about the movie that I did not like.
The biggest standalone thing, because you remove that from the film and you lose, like, nothing. They could just go, we bugged her phone.
Yeah, they could have done really anything else besides that. Just that whole, like, the whole lead up to the scene is just not necessary.
I loved the interplay between Kingsman and the Statesman, because in the James Bond movies, we never see as much of. There are some movies and whatever, but I'm saying in general, we don't see as much interplay between MI6 and the 00 agents and the CIA. And it's like, oh, cool, we get that with this one. But it was also kind of a letdown. Yeah, and not because the person who I thought would be teaming up with them wasn't the person who was teamed up with them. I liked who was teamed up with them. However, like, anytime it was like, all right, let's get it. Now, nope. All right, we gotta wait another few minutes between this and another thing. I will say some, like, the action scenes when they had them were actually really fun. They were fun. And I personally liked them. They were good. I never felt that they topped any of the action scenes of the first one. And weird thing, but the blocking with an action scene near the end. After John Denver, just so you know what I'm talking about. The scene in which Eggsy is trying to get to the plane in the first movie works because they're all tight corridors. Yeah. So it's like, okay, within this confined space, it's natural that these people would be approaching in this way. Yeah. Whereas in this, it's like, okay, this is an open area. Have none of you heard of flanking? Yeah. And it's like, and it was weird because it's like, the other action scenes had so much care and attention put into them that it just felt sloppy. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's going to beat that action scene in the first movie in the church. Yeah. Like, that's probably one of my and I'm not even favorite action scenes ever. And I'm not even comparing it directly to that. Because that is a little unfair, but I'm just comparing it to the other actions. I guess it's more like the enthusiasm I felt while watching, because watching, that church scene in the first movie, like, I get really pumped and I get really excited because it's just so cool. It's perfect. And then this one, it's like, okay, like, I'm just not as excited about it. I will say I really liked Jullianne Moore in the movie. That, I don't know if you felt that way. I also liked her. I mean, if you've seen the trailers, you know she's the main villain. Like, that's pretty well established. And I think she does a really good job. She does. However, her place in the movie is entirely wasted. Like, for what she's doing and how her organization comes into the film. Because it's actually secretive. Yeah. To everyone but the audience. I think the movie would have worked better if we hadn't learned about her until she made her announcement. Yeah, that would have been kind of cool. Versus the way Valentine was doing things and the way they built that mystery around that was actually perfect. Yeah. And then his announcement actually worked way better. I also like her announcement. Like, I think it suits her character really well. Yes. And like her mission. Oh, no. Her announcement was great. Yeah. And I loved her thing. Her thing is all 50s stuff. Yeah, it's and Elton John. Yeah, and Elton John. And Elton John. Who plays
Elton John
Yeah.
in the movie, which I know they had said before, like that was
Yeah.
going to be a thing.
But I don't feel like anything was ever really done with it. Like the hairdresser, I was like, oh sweet, we're gonna get to see that thing do some cool things, and now it's not gonna happen.
Well, I mean, I still think you saw some cool stuff. It just
Yeah, it
wasn't very long.
It was just it's like, okay, cool thing, oh, we gotta get rid of the cool thing. Cool thing, oh, we gotta get rid of that cool thing too. And her hench person it's the Kingsman agent who was rejected. And he doesn't hold a candle in the wind to Sofia Boutala's character.
I know, he was just kind of...
Like, I was really expecting him to be this feral animal that was like, Eggsy, you took me on, I'm gonna kill ya. And I would have been like, oh yeah! But no! And the way that Sophia played it as Gazelle was just, it was menacing, and her, like, not her lack of dialogue, but just her matter-of-fact attitude and her not requirement to speak. Like, she wasn't required to speak a lot in that movie because her legs did it for her.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that's perfect. You nailed it. And then when she does speak, it still fits.
Yeah.
And this henchman just, nothing. I was like, great idea. Oh, he's the henchman for the movie? And then there were a lot of weird character motivations and a lot of tropes that kept coming up that I was like, it wasn't so much that they spent a lot of screen time on various tropes, but it was that there were so many of them that it was like, this serves only to slow this film down. I think you could cut 30, 40 minutes out of this film.
For being about 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
It was kind of long. I was definitely starting to feel that the last like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like, it'd be nice to end this movie kind of soon. And I feel like there's definitely things you could take out and you could make it a good 2 hours and it could probably, like, it probably would end up being a better film.
Yeah, it was just...
I mean, I'm
not a bad film.
No, like, I'm not upset I watched it. I'll probably, like, rewatch it in the future, and kind of see, like, how I feel later on down the road.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it was, like, I don't feel like you need to see it in cinemas. Like, you can get it from Redbox or something and you would be just fine.
Yeah, I needed to reevaluate the first one, but at the same time, when I got out of the first one, I was pumped. I was really happy with it.
Yeah.
This one, I'm like, nope, I don't even want to own this.
I'd probably get it, like, I'd probably give it, like, maybe 3 out of 5 stars.
I think rent it and you'll be alright, but...
This wasn't as good as we hoped it was going to be.
Just really disappointing. I mean, yeah, it just...
I think if you see the first movie and you don't see the second one, you'll be okay.
Yeah, that too.
So that's Kingsman.
What comes out next week?
There's a couple options. You can go see American Made.
Oh yeah, I was gonna go see American Made.
Flatliners.
That's right. No, I'm not.
There's some options for next week.
As much as I like the original Flatliners, I do not want to go see the remake of the sequel to Flatliners.
Whatever.
So yeah, next week, American Made. So if you watched the movie, comment below. Let me know what you thought. Whether you agreed with me, disagreed with me, whatever. I still want to know what you thought. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate it. YouTube.com/GlassFilmsHouse, Facebook.com/GlassHouseFilms, and Twitter @GlassHouseFilms. Thanks y'all, and we'll catch you next time.
See you later.
Bye.